Now, the other part of these, we focused on this mostly in honors, was what if we looked at specifically compounding interest on a financial quantity, okay? And so when interest is compounding, that means it kind of like it's calculated based on the value that your loan or whatever is currently sitting at. So the interest gets calculated and added on to the balance. So these are the formulas for compounding interest. This one right here with the ends is compounding for a specific amount. This one over here is only used in the case of what's called continuous compounding. So they'll say continuous or continuously compounded interest. This one, though, the N changes depending on how frequently it compounds. So some of the most common, and it's how many times that thing happens in a year. So the number of times you compound per year. So if it says monthly, well, how many months are in a year? 12. So then N would be 12. If it said weekly, how many weeks are in a year? 52 weeks. There are 52 weeks in a year. If it's a daily, how many days are in a year? 365. And then the only other one, sometimes they might do annually. That just means once a year. So how many times does it happen once a year? Once. So these are usually the most common. And then for continuous, you use this specific formula, and it uses E, which is on your calculator over the ln button. You do second ln to get to a power of E. So the problem will tell you how much money you want to invest. So let's say we're going to invest $1,000. Let's say we're going to invest it for 10 years. And then let's say we compounded it. Well, we need an interest rate. So let's say the interest rate was 3.5%. They're not real great right now. So let's say those are our rates. Now, where would these numbers go? So this, remember your initial value, that's your principal investment. So that would go in the front here. The 10 years would be the T, all right, for your time. And then the rate, again, remember, we've got to convert that to a decimal. So 3.5% would be 0.035. That's going to go in for R. So no matter how often it's compounded or even if it's continuous, those values aren't going to change. What does change is whether we use the N part of the formula or whether we just use E. So if it said compounded, let's do weekly. If it said compounded weekly, all right, so I'm using the compound formula with the N because N is going to be 52. So I would say P is 1,000. 1 plus my interest rate is 0.035 divided by N. N is 52 because there are 52 weeks in a year. And then up here in my exponent, that's N times T. So that's 52 times my 10 years. All right. And then when you type that in the calculator, you just want to be careful that you do use these parentheses. All right. And then depending on what calculator you have, when you press the exponent key like this, well, actually, let me back up real quick. When you're typing in 0.035 divided by 52, you're just going to literally type the first one, division key, type the second one, close the parentheses. So then when you do your exponent, especially if you have an older calculator or a scientific calculator, you'll want to put parentheses around the exponent just to make sure it does it correctly. Or, like in this case, something times 10 just adds a 0. You could just go ahead and multiply this. And then you would type that all in the calculator. So for this particular problem, 1,000 times 1 plus 0.035 divided by 52, and then our exponent, that would come out to 1418. So $1,418.90. Now for money, we always round to 2 decimal places because we need dollars and cents. So again, the only time you would use this other P times E to the RT formula would be specifically if they said compounded continuously. So let's use our same values, 10 years, same rate, but investing compounding continuously. So we would do P times E to the R times T. So $1,000 times E, which again, I just do E to the X power, 0.035 times T. So again, this formula is a little different. It's R times T. There's no N. We don't need it. The E takes care of that. And then if we put that in the calculator, 1,000 times E to the 0.035 times 10, that comes out to $1,419. And it's 0.067, so that would round up. So it'd be 0.07. So $1,419.07. So we make a little bit more compounding it continuously.